So much to talk about, so little time. Sir Owen Disney here. It is Thursday evening, and it's late. It's super late, and I'm sorry about that, but we got back from Brick Mansions. I just finished NXT, so we're going to talk about NXT this week and NXT today. So, let's get away with it, shall we? Well, first off, this show was very heavy on matches, but not as much on long matches, just matches basically to not necessarily further storylines, but to introduce different people that we haven't seen yet on the network. So the show starts off with Paige walking around with both the NXT Women's Championship and the Divas Championship, and she runs into JBL, and he basically throws out the fact that the NXT Championship needs to be defended here in NXT. And it's not fair for NXT to have a champion that's going to be on Raw and SmackDown and the house show circuit, and obviously won't have time for NXT any longer. So JBL basically makes a judgment call and strips Paige of the NXT Women's Championship, and it will be put up in a tournament. So we're getting a second tournament for the NXT Women's Championship. So think about it from this perspective. Paige has been champion since she beat Emma in the tournament final. And now we don't have someone beat Paige, we actually have the championship is given to the winner of yet another tournament. Tad bit redundant, but I guess I understand, especially if Paige is going to be on the roster full-time, as well as Emma's on the roster full-time now, doing the stuff with Santino, like I talk about on my Raw and SmackDown recaps. Awkward date theater, I believe I like to call it. So, basically, Paige is resisting, and she's like, you know what? Fine, I fought my way to keep this championship. Maybe it's time for someone else to have their turn. Let the games begin. So she hands over the championship to JBL. So, of course, this is leading towards Charlotte getting the championship. Everyone knows that's going to be the end game, and without knowing anything more than that, it sounds to me like, via a spoiler that I kind of stumbled upon that I didn't want to read, that it just kind of showed up, I would say that it's a very good possibility, pretty much a certainty, Charlotte is your next NXT Women's Champion. And then we're going to start building new stars and probably put some emphasis on Bayley as well. So, we get our first match. It is another squash. Alexander Rusev taking on Travis Tyler this time around. Travis Tyler could be promoted right if they really wanted to go with it. He's got a Von Erich body, actually. He reminds me of a Von Erich, and if they really wanted to go with that, they actually could, but they probably won't. Rusev basically squashed like grape. So, beautiful Lana talks, and then right as the bell rings, Tyler with a big drop kick. Rusev just shrugs it off, straightens his jaw, and Vader attacks him, and basically finishes him off real quick afterwards. We see of course, the body slam position put on the top rope and the repeated knee strikes, and then the rain down elbows, and the fallaway Samoan drop he's been using a lot lately. And of course, the swing slam into the Accolade finishes it. So that was the end there. Of course, Rusev hit, Rusev crush, Rusev squash, and basically they're still not doing anything with Rusev yet. Don't know if he's got an identity yet. I guess we'll find out as we progress. We get another view of Adam Rose's party, because ain't no party like an Adam Rose party, because an Adam Rose party never stops. And, of course, Adam Rose is talking about the challenge laid out by Camacho, and basically he calls Camacho a party pooper and says he's boring. And, of course, his minions behind him chant boring at him, which was funny. And, of course, he says he's going to become the victim of the Adam Rose experience. And, of course, leaves the message that everyone should adhere to: don't be a lemon, be a rosebud. So Adam Rose and Camacho are going to have a nice little feud. I don't know exactly how long it's going to be, but it should be an interesting one. So last week, we talked about the BFFs going after Emma, and Emma didn't have a partner. Emma had 1 week to find a partner, and of course Sasha Banks comes out with Charlotte and Summer Rae on a steak. And sure enough, the partner ends up being now the current Divas Champion and the former NXT Women's Champion, Paige. So So Paige and Emma face off against Charlotte and Sasha. You know what? I'll say right now that I like Sasha Banks a little bit more every time I see her. But I will say right now that I'm not completely turned around on my opinion of Charlotte, but she's getting a lot better. She had a really awesome, figure 4 head scissors that she used in the match. And usually you turn it into a scissor stomp, but she flipped her forward and it looked awesome. So yeah, the match was really good, and her athleticism actually made the match work for me. So yeah, the match was good. We go to the end of the match, of course. Paige gets tagged in, and she does the rolling short arm clothesline, and she pushes Sasha into the ropes, and she nails the drop kick, and of course she goes for the Scorpion crosslock. It gets stopped by Charlotte drop kicking Paige in the back of the knee, potentially hyperextending her knee, and Emma gets tossed out of the ring by Charlotte when she tries to help Paige out. And of course, when the champion is trying to get up to her feet, Paige gets planted with the standing diamond dust, and that's the end right there. 1, 2, 3. Kudos to her using that move, because no one's using diamond dust, especially not a standing version of one, which actually looks awesome. Looked better this time around. It was like one-handed before, but still, it doesn't really appeal to an audience, but it's got a nice little snap to it, so I think it'll work really well, and that'd be a great finish for her. Of course, we're going to put over Charlotte and Sasha. It gives a rub to the BFFs for going over on the now WWE tandem of Paige and Emma. So yeah, that worked fine for me. Speaking of working fine for me, Tyson Kidd's back on television, and it's awesome. And he's got a renewed vigor in his step, and of course he wants to soar higher and conquer all fears and go to great heights like he's never done before. This is the rebirth of Tyson Kidd. And he faced off against Mason Ryan, who apparently WWE doesn't know if they want to make a face or a heel. Obviously, Ryan did the program with Sylvester Lefort, and you would think he'd still be babyface, but he came out kind of not acknowledging the crowd, so obviously he was de facto heel, I guess you would say, by default. So we go midway through this match, and Mason Ryan goes for the Gorilla Press Warrior style, and the charging clothesline in the corner makes a cover 1-2 and a kick out. Whip in, charges up, and gets the boot in the face. Tyson Kidd gets on the top rope, hits the flying guillotine, 1, 2, 3, and Tyson Kidd wins it. And like I said, I was talking about the rebirth of Tyson Kidd. He alludes to it himself on the microphone when he's talking to Renee Young, basically saying NXT is the place to be. All eyes are on NXT right now. He says, if you want to fight, I can brawl. If you want to fly, I can soar. He says he'll prove everyone wrong. And I really hope that's the case, because I really like to see a renewed push for Tyson Kidd. And obviously, Evan Bourne's going to be kicking himself right now, because that probably would be his push right now if it wasn't for the fact that he's injury prone, sadly. So, hopefully he will return in rings someday. But then again, we have Adrian Neville now, so he can fly a lot higher than Evan Bourne. But that's another story altogether. I think there's money to be made with a heel Evan Bourne against, like the heel Evan Bourne they use in Wrestling Society X. Kind of like that gimmick. Not necessarily the gimmick, but like a heel Evan Bourne facing off against the NXT champion, Adrian Neville. I think that'd be an awesome program, and I'd really like to see that happen. So we get another debut on the WWE Network. This time it's Angelo Dawkins. And Angelo Dawkins is dressed like an old school b-boy. You know, he actually, he's got the backwards cap and everything. The only thing missing was breakdancing. And he faces off against Prince Pretty himself, Tyler Breeze. So Tyler Breeze in the match. The match was okay. It was very short. He locks in a chin lock. Dawkins elbows his way out, and he gets arm dragged. And of course, a big right hand drops him. So he basically gets caught with the mounted punches, and Breeze finishes him off with the standing beauty shot. 1, 2, 3. Nothing really to the match. But I was okay seeing it because we debuted a new character in Angelo Dawkins. Hopefully it'll be something unlike Mojo Rawley, which I'm totally not sold on. We get our main event of the evening, 6-man tag team action. It is your current reigning and defending for 204 days, mind you. NXT Tag Team Champions Victor and Connor the Ascension teaming up with Corey Graves, making them heels, I guess? Sure. Facing off against the WWE Tag Team Champions, Jimmy and Jey Uso, as well as Sami Zayn. This match was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. So we'll go midway through this match, actually after the last commercial break like we always do, Jason Albert, or Tensai, or whatever you want to call him, he got a really awesome line on commentary that actually made me laugh. He says, "I'm not a very smart man, but I can lift heavy things." I thought that was funny. It worked for me. So, we get the match, and Connor with a chin lock on Jey Uso. Thank you for the NXT commentary team for doing something that Michael Cole, JBL, and Jerry Lawler do not do, and that is letting me know which Uso's in the ring. Because that drives me insane, trying to call a match, and all of a sudden, the Uso with the headlock, and the Uso with the clothesline. Which Uso, Owen? I don't know. Sorry, there's no... I know there's a factor. They wear opposite sides of face paint, but that's hard to see, especially when you're not paying attention, when you're trying to write notes and everything. But still, you're making excuses, Owen. Yeah, I'm aware. So, of course, Jey elbows out, and he gets caught with a club to the back of the neck, and tagging to Corey Graves. He hits a front suplex, comes off the ropes, nails the fist drop 1-2 and a kick out, locks on a modified Kata Hajime, and turns it into a front chancery, and he makes a cover out of it 1-2, and again, a kick out. Tagging to Victor, and a big chop, and 2 chops, and then Jey chops back, so they have a chop battle. They trade chops back and forth. Then the European uppercut, and the chops in the corner, and basically using a version of the Violence Party, but not completely, because the Violence Party is chop, forearm, chop, forearm. This time it's chop, European uppercut, chop, European uppercut. Nice move from Victor there. I really like him in the ring. So... a boot in the midsection, makes a cover 1-2 and a kick out. So he locks on the chin lock. Jey punches his way out and counters with the backdrop suplex. And Connor comes in, tosses him to the ropes, and a backdrop turned around into a sunset flip 1-2 and a kick out. Right hand by Jey Uso. Connor gets sent to the floor. So he tries to grab the foot to try to stop his momentum. He kicks him off, and tagging to Victor, and he knocks Sami Zayn off. He goes to knock Jimmy off the ring apron, and he ducks, and Jimmy gets, of course, tagged in when Jey goes through the legs, and clothesline, misses a big splash in the corner. Savate kick to the ribs, whip in, there's a Samoan drop, and then one for Connor for good measure. Ducks the clothesline, super kick on Victor, and the Rikishi special on Connor. Corey Graves tags himself in, and the diving clip to Jimmy Uso. Goes for Lucky 13, but countered into a roll-up, 1-2, and a kick-out. Catches the foot, and, of course, the spin kick to the face. Sammy tags himself in, flying body press, 1-2, and a kick-out. Charges in, gets caught, and going for the haluva kick, and he got caught. Fireman's carry, and he gets countered. Blue Thunder Driver, and the Ascension make the save right before the 3 count can be completed. So the Ascension get clotheslined over the top rope to the floor. The haluva kick on Corey Graves, tagging in Jey Uso, and the Samoan suicide dive and Tope con Hilo from Jimmy and Zayn on the floor to the Ascension, taking them out of the equation, and a Samoan splash on Graves finishes it 1-2-3, and a big win for the WWE Tag Team Champions and Sami Zayn in a great main event for NXT this week. So yeah, very enjoyable match. Really like this contest. Love the chemistry between these 6 guys, and I really like to see more between them. And I was always talking about the Ascension need to work with a WWE tag team before they get brought up to the main roster. This is where you start with it, folks. This is the exact thing you do. Instead of doing a straight tag team match, they did a 6-man, so now you have the seeds planted, and don't forget, the Ascension didn't lose. Graves ate the pin, so that means there is still money to be made with the Usos against the Ascension somewhere down the line, and I think that time is rapidly approaching. I don't know why I'm pointing to my wrist here, but still, it's rapidly approaching. So yeah, that was an interesting episode of NXT. Basically, I will say right now, if I have to recommend anything for this episode, you know what? Paige and Emma against the BFFs was fine. I had no issues with that. Tyson Kidd and Mason Ryan was short. Angelo Dawkins and Tyler Breeze was short. And the main event is phenomenal. So yeah, check that out if you get a chance to. Wrestling fans will join me this weekend, actually. We're going to talk a little SmackDown, of course. And I want to talk about SmackDown. And, of course, if you're not, I'm guessing you're probably not a TNA fan, but TNA returns to pop this weekend because Sacrifice is this Sunday. So I will be talking about Sacrifice, probably Monday, actually. Because I got to work Sunday for strange reasons. So needless to say, because I have to work Sunday, it kind of threw a curveball at me. So I'm going to do a TNA Sacrifice recap for you guys on Monday. Now, does that mean I'm going to return to recapping TNA? I hope so. But with these movies I'm watching on Thursday nights, it's going to be really weird because actually we're doing a lot of filming this week because we have a lot of stuff to do. We've got The Amazing Spider-Man 2 spoiler alert to do, so spoiler alert will return this coming weekend. Not this coming weekend, not starting tomorrow, but this coming weekend. Next weekend, there you go. The first week of May, which of course is the Pop-iversary, May 1st. This coming Thursday, a week from today, is our Pop-iversary, which is our 1 year as a channel. So it's going to be awesome. A lot of really awesome content coming for Pop this year. And if you saw my Halloween Horror Nights video, actually, I did a little bit of research today. And through the power of someone else, shout out to the person I was chatting with on Twitter, yeah, I found out some interesting things, and I may have changed my mind about a couple of things, so who knows? I may be doing a Halloween Horror Nights video sooner rather than later. So, I don't work tomorrow, I don't work Saturday, so I got a lot of time on my hands and a lot of time to do things. AJ's movie reviews this week, we're going to talk about Brick Mansions, and we're going to talk about The Other Woman and The Quiet Ones, and on top of that, will also be the Athens movies that we actually got to see, The Grand Budapest Hotel and Under the Skin, as well as Bears. So, I'll throw out another quick message. Of course, our verses this week is going to be interesting. Neil McDonough is all about verses this week. We'll throw that out there. So, yeah. Since most people that watch the wrestling recaps don't necessarily watch the verses, I don't know, maybe. Maybe you do, who knows? I'm just going to throw that out there. Neil McDonough is going to be your connection to verses this week. So yeah, make sure. Well, God, Neil McDonough. Long day. It's Martin McDonough. God, I feel stupid. Sorry, it's been a long day, and this is the reason why I probably should edit. So yeah, Martin McDonough is going to be your connection. So yeah, it's going to be two of Martin McDonough's famous films against each other, and it's going to be a fun battle. Next week, AJ's movie reviews, we're going to talk The Amazing Spider-Man 2, as well as The Immigrant, finally coming to Pop, as well as Kid Cannabis, sounds like it's going to be coming our way as well. And maybe The Railway Man, probably, most likely. So a lot of things still to come here on Pop in the weeks to come, and wrestling fans, don't worry. Like I said, we have SmackDown this weekend, we have TNA Sacrifice this weekend, of course we have Raw on Tuesday night. So a lot of wrestling content still to come on Pop. So, as always, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, and help spread the word about Pop. If you'd like to like our Facebook fan page, please do. It's Sir Owen Disney Pop on Facebook. Want to go Facebook old school? More than welcome to send me a friend request. It's Owen Disney. And if you'd like to tweet me, you're more than welcome to. And I know a lot of you guys and girls out there have started following me on Twitter, and I totally appreciate it. It's at Sir Owen Disney if you'd like to join that revolution. And last but certainly not least, if you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions, you want to talk wrestling with me, we can talk my wrestling career if you'd really like to do that. Talk NXT, we can talk TNA, we can talk WWE, we can talk about Disney, Universal, Halloween Horror Nights. We can talk about how awesome this year is going to be, folks, with movies especially. And if you can do that, you can also email me. It's SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.